Welcome. My name is Natasha Sherman, and I am your host. And my guest today is Tom Paladino, and he is a scalar energy researcher. So I'm going to let him explain that to you. Tom, until I did some reading about you, and even after doing reading about what you do, I have to admit I'm still kind of lost as to how to articulate it. And so I'm going to ask you to talk in layman's terms, and let's start with defining scalar energy.
Sure. Thanks for the invitation, Natasha. Scalar energy. Everybody's an expert in scalar energy, so there's nothing to be intimidated about. Scalar energy originates from the sun, the stars. It's sunlight, it's starlight. And frankly, all energy in the universe initiates as scalar energy. And therefrom, electricity and magnetism will be a derivative, if you will, of scalar energy. So, simply stated, scalar energy is the first energy or the initial energy of the stars. It's that simple.
Wow. That simple and that kind of infinite.
Yes.
So we are made up of scalar energy, yes?
Yes, that's correct.
And how does knowing about this or benefit us? And then how do we access it in a meaningful way?
Sure. How would scalar energy benefit us? Well, let's consider scalar energy the energy, once again, of the stars. And in so doing, it is intelligence. All energy is intelligence. So this is a universal energy. It is a universal intelligence. It's my belief that scalar energy is the fundament of consciousness. We speak of consciousness or the instructions of the universe or the mind of God. All of that is made possible by scalar energy. So scalar energy is really the primal act that sends into motion the entire universe. Now, in application, I've developed scalar energy instruments that can harness this energy. And I'll make a comparison. Look at what electricity has done to our civilization and how we've advanced with electricity. Well, there's another type of energy, scalar energy, that is much more versatile than that of electricity, that is infinite in supply, that leaves no pollution, no footprint. So it's my belief that scalar energy will someday supersede that of electricity, and that scalar energy will be the energy in vogue. Scalar energy will dominate throughout the world.
Wow. So it is the energy of existence.
Yes.
And so, it's harnessing it sounds very, how do you measure it? How do you, so electricity, I can't explain electricity, but it's very familiar and I know
Yes.
how to access it. So then
Yes.
You're saying that you developed a technology to access it and purposefully,
Yes.
to what end currently?
Currently, I'm able to use scalar energy to control physical forms. I can either assemble physical forms that are beneficial, or I can break down physical forms that would prove to be harmful to human health. So my current research is allowed me to control the molecular form of matter. Imagine that. Scalar energy is proving to be the consummate tool to control matter, in this case, molecular forms.
Wow.
Yes.
So I'm going to leap into something that you do and see if we can tie it in. So what you do in terms of using it as a treatment protocol in a way, or to make change, impact molecular structure, you have people send you their photographs.
That's right.
And it doesn't even have to be a photograph of them fully. It can be just of a hand, a body part, because it contains all the information.
Yes.
And then what do you do with it?
You're right. I do treat people remotely. I treat people by way of their photograph. Why? Because a photograph of a person's skin is a photograph of their light signature, their scalar light character, or their scalar light signature. And once I have that photograph of a person, I place it within my scalar energy instrument. And And the key point is this. Once I place a photograph inside a scalar energy instrument, that dimension is different than that of the electromagnetic dimension. And within a scalar energy dimension, I have immediate access to a person by virtue of their photograph. So with a scalar energy instrument, I can transcend time and space. And by virtue of a person's photograph, some part of their anatomy, I can easily make a connection and send a signal to that person exclusively by way of their photograph, a photograph of their anatomy. And in so doing, once I have that connection, that ability to send information, I can do two things immediately that will benefit health. I can create physical forms that will abet human health, and I can break down, I can disassemble infectious agents such as pathogens, germs, that are inimical to human health. So imagine that, all by way of a person's photograph, I have the immediate ability to make a connection, send a signal, and then to perform a function, either to create what is beneficial for the body or to disassemble, to break apart what is disadvantageous to the body.
You know, my brain immediately starts twitching, and I have a lot of questions. So, you know, on the one hand, it sounds totally bizarre. But then again, so did electricity. So it just may be something that is hard to explain, and it's hard to hang my hat on right now. But so the whole idea of remote healing doesn't seem that remote. We've heard of people doing that, but not using, you know, your technology. It's, again, so if I send you a picture and it can disassemble things, yes, what would prevent anyone, not you in particular, if you have that kind of access just through a photograph, what would prevent you from doing harm to someone? Or could someone do that?
You're absolutely right. And that's why, Natasha, that's why I guard these instruments, and I do not share the schematics with anybody. I will not in any way sell these instruments or distribute them. This is obviously not anything to toy with. It's a very serious matter. And what we have found is a means with scalar energy to access the inner workings of the universe. The atomic and molecular structure of all matter are within our grasp with scalar energy. So essentially, and I'll stand by this statement, scalar energy gives us mastery over the physical universe. Well, with that said, I realize what an onus it is upon me, and I will always have my sense of morality when using these instruments. But to speak to your point, it is a very powerful instrument, and it must be used appropriately with that sense of morality.
So let me go into the world of paranoia a little. So, you know, I don't know if you're aware, but there are all these news stories about alternative healers dying mysteriously because they're presenting new ideas. So if you've got this technology that is that powerful, are you not afraid that somebody is going to put you in the line of fire?
That's a good point. To speak to that point, there are naturopathic doctors who've been assassinated, and many of them recently. And I realize that, and that shows you what a nefarious, evil world we live in. I have the protection of Jesus and Mary, and that's all I need, and I simply move forward. Do I realize that the powers that be out there are aware of scalar energy? Yes. And I'm sure they are aware of the healing capability of these scalar energy instruments. I can't be naive to that. But I am protected. I am divinely protected.
That's good. That's great.
Yeah.
And I hope it stays that way.
Thank you. It will.
So, okay. So I'm going to jump around a little bit, but so I read on your website that you can send in a picture, and you could do a group picture even
Yes.
But you couldn't do it without somebody else's permission. You couldn't send somebody to be healed without their permission. But
Yes.
what if I sent somebody and said, oh, I have permission? Would it still be impactful? Would they still
Yes.
get the benefit?
Yes. Well, whether a person is conscious of these treatments or not, it still has the full benefit. And to speak to that point, we frequently treat pets. People will send us dogs and cats and horses, and we could treat those animals very effectively, and we can easily rid those animals of pathogens, germs, and obviously your pet doesn't realize that they're being treated with scalar energy.
Okay, so then one of the things you talked about was, you can, let's say you have a photograph of vitamin B6, and then
Yes.
you could actually, just through that photograph,
Correct.
meld it into somebody as a healing property, or they need
Yes.
B6.
Yes.
Does the machine diagnose what vitamins you need?
Yeah, good point. No, I'm not to the state of diagnosing. And one of the reasons why I really don't want to diagnose is I'm treating so many people. On any given day, I'm treating at least 500,000 to 1 million people per day. So there's no way I could possibly diagnose. So I'm treating people by way of a blanket approach, if you will, a universal approach. And to speak to your point, I can take a photograph, say a molecular photograph that shows the crystalline structure of vitamin B6. And if I were to place that photograph, that magnified photograph, inside my scalar energy instrument, then my instrument would take that geometry, would take that actual molecular structure of vitamin B6 and form it and assemble B6 inside the human body. So I can take photographs of nutrients, photographs of vitamins, place those photographs in my instrument. My instrument will look at that character, that geometric configuration, so to speak, and then assemble the identical molecular structure inside the human body. That's the wonderment of scalar energy. And that's why I say that scalar energy will allow us to control the physical universe.
So if you do, and I have more questions about that, but if you do that, let's say, so the instrument breaks it down, reads it, then does it send it out to everybody?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. In other words, if I were to take vitamin B6 as a photograph and place it inside my instrument, that's the informational input in which I could assemble vitamin B6 in one person, in 10 people, or 1 million people.
Wow. So then I have a question because, I'm open to anything and I believe in the possibility of just about anything. So it's a little hard to wrap my head around, but who am I to say, because I haven't had the full experience. What's surprising to me is that you have 500,000 people who have actually said yes, because this is such an intangible, wrap your head around,
Yes.
So how does that happen?
Sure. Many of the people that I'm treating now are pro bono. We have volunteers in Latin America, volunteers in Africa who've sent me millions of photographs over the past 2-3 years. And yes, on any given day, we're treating 500,000 to 1 million people a day. That is our ministry, if you will, in Latin America and Africa is growing exponentially. We're spreading like wildfire. Now, many of the people, and God bless them, many of the people that we treat do not understand the mechanics of this. They simply present their photograph in good faith. So I would say over the years, and if I were to quote, we would probably treated close to 30 million people in Africa last year in 2017. Simply by virtue of this word-of-mouth healing ministry. It's a grassroots effort, and obviously it's not difficult to take somebody's photograph. So the photographs amass, and I'll go on record, we've already treated at least 30 million people in Africa.
So how come 30 million people are not well?
They are.
Oh.
They are. but there's hundreds of millions of people in Africa. You will see this. You'll see this in the future. You will
I
see
believe that.
significant. You will. Thank you. You will see a significant drop in, the transmission of tuberculosis, HIV, cholera, malaria. You will see the healing of the nations take place before your eyes. We're just getting started. It's a matter of time before this catches on. My projection is that this year, 2018, we probably will treat close to 100 million people in Africa. That's how popular this is becoming.
Wow. So how long, and I want to remind people, there's, the reminder on camera where people can go and sign up for 15-day free Scalar treatment. All you have to do is send you the photographs. Two questions. What can people expect to feel, let's say, in 15 days? So, because
Sure.
I could send you something and things could be happening inside, pathogens being dismantled and vitamin B6 being energized into my body, but I may notice nothing.
Sure.
So
Sure,
how do people
sure.
hang in there?
Most people with the 15-day trial, the free 15 days of scalar energy treatments, they'll experience a lightness of being. Now, for instance, let's say some people come to us with bronchial congestion. Well, after 15 days, we'll be able to breathe much easier. We will disassemble the bacteria, the fungi in their lungs, that perhaps they are suffering from some type of sinus infection. Yes, we can disassemble many of the germs in our sinuses. What are the other effects that people might experience are a greater sense of well-being, a more meaningful sleep. Many times when we treat people with scalar energy, they have a much more profound and deeper sleep pattern. So these are just some of the benefits that people will notice within the first 15 days.
So the question then arises, so we have a lot of bacteria in our body, gut bacteria. We need some of it. Some of it is very useful. So is it really just bringing to natural health? How does it know what to attack and what not to attack?
Sure. I have photographs of pathogens. So when I'm working with people, I work with those photographs of pathogens and I disassemble what's considered to be pathogenic or parasitic, as opposed to, say, a probiotic, what would be considered to be a beneficial bacterium I leave alone, such as lactobacillus. I don't treat out lactobacillus. So by virtue of a photograph, I can pinpoint, I can target what germ I want to destroy, and then I leave the rest alone.
Right. Yes. So then how long do people usually do this before they, so in 15 days you might feel something, you might not. How long do people hang in there before they actually start seeing a big difference?
Sure. Everybody's different, so it's hard to give a blanket statement.
Right.
But I'll say that many people feel the benefits within the first 15 days. Some people, they realize a shift, but they want a longer treatment duration. So some people will sign up for perhaps 3 to 4 months of treatments. And again, depending on the person, there's so many variables. Many people, they feel elated perhaps after 3 or 4 months, to the point that many of the people that I work with, they become ongoing clients, if you will.
Belief is a powerful thing too, so do you kind of take that into consideration? Because, it's just like, when you have placebo drugs and people get well, right. Does belief system play into it?
I'm sure it does. And with many people, we've seen that over the years. And I will say this, that yes, the treatments are real. Scalar energy is indeed a benefit to human health. But I will say that when people pray or meditate, or when they work in harmony with the treatments, that their health, their recovery is accelerated, or their well-being is further established by way of their positive attitude.
Is this in your day-to-day life? Is this a hard sell? I mean, do people think of you as like this bizarre outlier, who has this theory that sounds bizarre?
Yeah, no, it's not a hard sell. To use your term, it's not a hard sell. It's very easy. The 15-day trial makes believers out of people. We've treated people throughout the world, and the proof is in the pudding. If you go to our website, you'll see 1,500 testimonies.
Right.
That is proof in the pudding, and many of those are diagnostic tests in which people have seen an eradication of viruses from their body. So the proof is in the pudding.
Do you ever get sick?
No. I haven't been in the hospital in years, in 20, 30 years. I never get sick. That's a great question. I'm 58 years of age, and I think I'm the epitome of health.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And do family members come to you?
Yes. Many scrupulous mothers want their entire family on the program, and we have many families.
Wow. And then the question is, can there be zero impact?
No, because it's a functioning instrument that works within these parameters of science, and that is, when I tell this instrument to destroy a germ, it will do so, regardless of your station in life. When I tell this instrument to assemble an amino acid or a nutrient, some type of nutrient in the body, it will do so. So it's impossible not to have
some impact.
What I would consider to be positive and uplifting experience. The instrument does what I tell it to do.
So when you say I tell it, what does that mean? I tell it.
The way I've calibrated these instruments, I can instruct these instruments to destroy viruses, bacteria, fungi, or I can instruct another scalar energy instrument to assemble to create in the body amino acids and antioxidants. So this is a technical process, and the instrument does what I tell it to do, just like a car or a computer will do what you tell it to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. So one of the questions that was on the list is, what is the future of scalar energy, and how will its acceptance serve to change the world for the better?
Many of you remember the scientist Nikola Tesla. He was on the verge of introducing scalar energy to the world. We are following in his footsteps. How will this change the world? Well, consider this. Scalar energy is an infinite supply of energy. It's sunlight, it's starlight. And all you have to do is harness that sunlight and starlight. So once we make the shift from electromagnetic energy or geothermal energy to scalar energy, we'll have an infinite supply of energy. And in so doing, we can use that energy, utilize it for telecommunications, for power generation, to improve our health. There's so many functions, there's so many avenues that we can explore with scalar energy. So to answer the question, it's an infinite clean supply of energy. We will overcome the energy crisis by way of scalar energy.
Wow. So how were you led to this?
God has given me the wisdom. This is all groundbreaking research. I frankly believe it's a godsend. I know it's a godsend.
And were you scientifically trained, or is your spiritual belief system kind of interwoven in there? Was there some epiphany moment, or?
Yes to all of those. I've studied my entire life. This has been my passion throughout my life, but there is mysticism in this.
There is
the reason
what?
I say that there's a great deal of mysticism in this. And the reason I mention that is this has never been done before. So it really has to be given to you from God.
Yeah. And one of the things that, in when they write about you, and you were talking about energy, and it's kind of prana, chi, compared to that. And so if I'm trying to kind of wrap my head around it, I see an acupuncturist. So they talk about chi and energy moving, and we kind of have accepted that exists. So I'm assuming it's kind of just expanding on that.
Yes. Those are synonymous terms. Scalar energy is chi, prana, ether energy. Some people call it pyramid energy. It's that other dimension. It's not electricity. It's another dimension. And chi and prana also describe scalar energy.
So then, I'm just looking at the questions. Yes, explain how scalar energy is the cause of time. That's pretty thought-provoking.
It is profound. That's a great question. Scalar energy in character is a double helix. Imagine two corkscrews intertwined. And when scalar energy as a waveform rotates, so to speak, in one direction, time will move forward. If you were to reverse that rotation, reverse that vertical action, then time would move backwards. So scalar energy is the energy of the sun, the energy of the stars. And that energy is really a river of time. And what dictates the tempo, so to speak, of the river is the spin, the actual turning of that vortex. Again, spin the vortex in one direction, time moves forward. Reverse that vertical action, and time will move backwards.
So does that mean we could use it to travel back in time?
Yes. Yes, we can. Yes.
Wow. Well, that's a great place to end because our time is almost out. So is there anything, it's left with a lot of questions, but really good ones. Is there anything you'd like to say, in particular, the last minute and a half?
Sure. Explore scalar energy. If it's new to you, I understand it is somewhat esoteric, but it is a technology that will soon make its grand entrance upon the world stage. Scalar energy will change the course of human history for the better. It's a very versatile tool. It's going to help mankind in so many ways. So please welcome this technology.
Thank you. And it's very hopeful. And we all need that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
You're right.
Tom, thank you so much for being my guest. And I invite people to go to the website, register for the 15 days, and see for yourself. So my name is Natasha Sherman. Thank you for joining us.